Anyway, welcome to 2019, where your issues are not about where your next meal comes from or whether you need to brush off your sword and kick out the Franks, but your choices of the day are whether to film horizontally or vertically. Hi there, it's Signe and welcome to my channel called Sign of Horses. Sitting outside in the summer sunshine repairing my Viking tunic because we were in a play called Redbad and it sustained some damage during the fighting scenes. So I thought that as I'm repairing my kit, I would have a little chat with you so you get a sense of what it is like behind the scenes. Now I have some clips that I took with my phone that I'd like to show you in this vlog. And I'll put them right here. Most of them are shot horizontally because I put them on Instagram. Did I say horizontally earlier or did I say vertically?
Horizontally.
The area that we got to play with was amazing. There was water there and there was a garden, and then on the center stage they built a authentic looking Viking house and little huts, and they had fires going and they had an old gnarly tree, and it was an amazing set to be in, and it was such a privilege for BLIZZ and I to be there. Really, really wonderful. At the stage of Redbad, that's where the audience has their break. It's behind the scenes, and now we're entering the stage. There's no audience here yet. We've got a little fire going. This is where we do our performance, and that's our house, also with a fire going. Rock. We're going through the theatre garden, and that's me waving because somebody else is filming. Of course, when it started raining we had to take shelter, and BLIZZ was one of the horses who could actually fit in the house, so we took him inside the house to shelter from the rain. And these girls were wonderful at taking care of BLIZZ as well. They loved cuddling him, and BLIZZ of course loved to be cuddled, and he kept falling asleep all the time. So I love these pictures of him in the little house being cuddled by the girls. And you can see how muddy it is in these shots. It's our last performing night and we had so much rain, but now we have blue skies just as we're about to start. So that is absolutely perfect. They're putting out sand so the horses won't slip all over the place, because you can see how wet it is right here. Soaking wet. Before the play starts, we kind of we animate the scene, so it's like a living village. So we have people running around or walking around, and we have people fishing, and we have people moving blocks of wood, or people making fire or sitting by the fire and roasting buns and that kind of thing. And I think it was the two last shows that BLIZZ and I, together with the kids, performed a little dance sequence where I have BLIZZ doing Spanish walk and going backwards and going side pass, with the girls next to him doing the same like dance maneuvers, and that kind of warmed up the audience. And I think I only did it for the last two nights because those were the rainy nights, and I felt that the audience, that we really had to show our appreciation for the audience and tell them that we really appreciated that they were still there despite the rain and despite the bad weather. Yeah, so let me explain a little bit about Redbad as I sew away on this hole that I got in my tunic. Redbad used to be is a historical figure. He's an ancient Frisian king and part of our local history. It's around the year 750, about the time that Christianity was reaching this region. So it's early medieval times, and Friesland was a lot bigger then. We're now just in the northern part of the Netherlands, but it used to go all the way down to the rivers, to the River Rhine, and there's a city there called Dorestad, which is a very old city as well. But Friesland used to be a lot bigger. So when I talk about Friesland with considerations to the Redbad period, to the early medieval period, it was quite different from what it is now. Actually, where I'm sitting would probably be the coastal area, because the sea would just reach about right here where my well, not my garden, but the rear of my house is. Further down south, the Frisians were fighting with the Franks for, I guess, ownership of the kingdom of Friesland, with lack of a better word. I don't think Friesland was as much as a kingdom as it was as a tribe calling themselves Frisians. Right, that is done. One of my favorite scenes is at the end, Redbad dies. Spoiler alert! No, he does. He dies. I mean, it's like 5,000, no, 1,500 years ago. How long is it ago? 1,200 years ago. So there's no spoiler there that Redbad is dead by now. By then, it's dark. It's evening. It's later in the evening. It's like 10 o'clock-ish. 10 or 11, so it's like dusky, and we all go way back to the back of the garden, and we light our torches, and then we slowly walk up to the front of the stage. I think it's a magical, beautiful scene, and I think I've seen a bunch of people in the audience just, you know, looking away. Just a tear or two. Get really, well, not get really emotional, but really get into the feeling of that scene. But it does something to you. It makes you feel connected to the land you're on. And also the darkness and the torches, and it's a beautiful scene. So I'm telling a very long story just to show you a photo of me holding a torch. That's another thing. I would never have been able to capture the mood of that moment in a vlog. No way. I think a photo barely touches it. I guess you had to be there to feel the wind and feel the cold, and to have been there for 2 hours, maybe a bit longer, listening to the story of Redbad to really catch that moment. I'm just touching on the scenes that me and BLIZZ were in, actually, because, well, this is my experience of Redbad, so I can only talk about the scenes that I know very well, and I've performed like several times. So let's talk about this scene. It's called Wolfetied, which means wolf time. It's like a dream time for Redbad. He's grown up from a very young kiddo to a young man, and he and his friends, I guess, one night drinking, pulled into a situation where this like dream time thing, an initiation from the older men and women of the village that dress up like wolves, and I was dressed up more like a crow kind of creature, and they haunt him and taunt him to well, to go into like a dream state and listen to what nature has to tell him. And that's where he finds his, well, inner Viking or inner wolf. And I think it's very comparable to when Odin hangs from the tree and he gets the knowledge of the runes. There's a bit of well, the scene, it's kind of similar to that story. It's woven into each other, and of course I get to do fancy stuff with BLIZZ. I get to rear, and we have this spear moment, and then everything goes into slow motion, and I have a picture of that here because I don't know who took this photo, but I think it's awesome. It's a really, really lovely picture of BLIZZ and I with the smoke going on. I love that smoke machine. But in that scene, if I was on the stage at the wrong moment, I would be right next to the smoke machine when it went off for the first time, and it would go like psst, and then the smoke would appear, and that sound, that sudden psst, would scare the living daylights out of BLIZZ, which I can, you know, I can't blame him for that. And he would slightly bolt, not very badly, but bolt. And one night it was so unexpected that I almost fell off. I managed to cling on to him and then acted like nothing happened. This is all part of the play and we're just going on with our Dreamtime wolf kind of thing. But I almost fell off and that was scary. I was sure that I was going to fall off. But the rest of the time I look badass like that. So we had our own clan look. And I love these pictures, behind the scene pictures, where that's me and Itika having very simple clan makeup, and then it kind of evolved from there and everybody got their own kind of look. And this is me doing Berber, by the way, who took care of Dike, the horse of Nienke. All these names might sound very, very, very similar to you. They're all Frisian names, most of them. Some of them are Dutch, but most of them are Frisian names. And then there was a scene where I would go on stage and I would call out to everybody to get to arms and practice their fighting skills so we would be ready for the war with the Franks. And that was the moment that BLIZZ got to bash on Rinse's shield. And Rinse you might also know from Instagram because we'd done a couple of photo shoots together. I only got this shot during rehearsal. You can see that BLIZZ is doing his best to bash in the shield, and we're actually, Rinse and I kind of told each other like that shield needs to break. The goal is to break the shield, and Blizzard tried his best but he didn't manage to break the shield. I was a bit scared that he would break Rinse and I didn't want that to happen, so that's my excuse. Yeah, loads of talking in this vlog. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and tell all your Viking friends or your horsey friends or your neighbors, or just spread the Vikingness and spread the words and tell them to subscribe to this channel. Most importantly, whether it's in a play or in the real world, be kind to your neighbor, but release that inner Viking! I'll see you next time. Bye.